Hello everyone, and welcome to my YNR Official 24 channel. Kane Ashby, normally composed and calculating, seemed like a man possessed as he stormed into the grand living room, his eyes wild, voice trembling with a mixture of fear and fury, and every step he took echoed like a drumbeat of impending doom, announcing to anyone in earshot that the carefully constructed facades of Genoa City were about to shatter irreparably, because Kane had a secret, a truth so lethal, so explosively devastating, that even the hardened members of the Newman clan might crumble under its weight. And as he caught sight of Victor, seated regally in his usual commanding position but with a subtle tremor betraying the man's usual unshakable demeanor, Kane's chest heaved, and the words spilled out like jagged shards of glass, slicing through the air. "Victor, you need to know it's all gone too far, and there's no turning back." And the room fell silent, everyone frozen mid-breath, the tension palpable enough to choke, because in that moment, every eye turned toward Victor, whose expression flickered between disbelief, rage, and a flicker of vulnerability, a glimpse of mortality in a man who had always seemed invincible. And as Kane continued, every syllable pounding like a hammer on glass, revealing not just a deception but a betrayal of the deepest, most personal kind, a deadly truth that threatened to unravel the very fabric of the Newman Empire. The kind of revelation that would leave relationships shattered, alliances dissolved, and hearts broken beyond repair. The kind of secret that had been buried under layers of lies, manipulations, and silence for far too long, until Kane, with a mixture of courage and desperation, had finally summoned the nerve to expose it, to rip the bandage off the festering wound that no one had dared touch. And as he spoke, Victor's face, usually so controlled, so impenetrable, began to pale, his strong jaw slackening, eyes widening as the full weight of Kane's confession crashed down upon him like a tidal wave, because this was no ordinary deception. This was a revelation that struck at the very core of his identity, his power, and his family. And Nikki, who had been standing just a few steps away, sensing the shift in the air, her instincts kicking in, rushed forward, her hands trembling slightly as she reached for Victor, who in that instant, the unthinkable happened. He collapsed, a mere shadow of the formidable titan he had always been, and Nikki caught him in her arms, her heart racing, breath hitching as she whispered his name, panic threading her voice, her fingers pressing against his chest as though her touch alone could steady the tempest within him. And around them, the room seemed to blur, conversations halting mid-word, faces reflecting horror, shock, and an almost primal fear, because Victor Newman, the man who had faced corporate sharks, criminal masterminds, and countless betrayals without flinching, was now reduced to a human being, vulnerable, frail, and entirely dependent on the woman who loved him, whose presence alone had often been the anchor in his chaotic world. And as she held him close, her mind raced, trying to process Kane's words even as she fought to maintain a sense of calm, knowing that the revelations, the deadly truth Kane had exposed, could ripple out like wildfire, igniting conflicts, reigniting old grudges, and shattering lives in ways that could never be undone. And Kane, watching this unfold, felt a mixture of triumph and guilt, knowing that while he had done the right thing by revealing the truth, the immediate consequences were staggering, because the fragile balance of power in Genoa City was now tipped, and loyalties that had seemed unshakable were suddenly precarious, hanging by a thread. And every character in that room, Nicholas, Abby, Victoria, Sharon, each processed the revelation differently, some with anger, some with disbelief, and others with a dawning understanding that their lives would never be the same again. And as Nikki cradled Victor, whispering soothing words, her voice a soft counterpoint to the chaos, she felt the enormity of the moment, the crushing weight of the truth Kane had delivered. And yet, in the midst of fear and uncertainty, there was also a spark of determination, a glimmer that perhaps, just perhaps, together they could navigate the storm, rebuild trust, and protect the Newman legacy from crumbling entirely under the impact of the lies and secrets that had finally, explosively, come to light. Because in Genoa City, nothing remained buried forever, and every revelation, no matter how devastating, set the stage for the next act of drama, heartbreak, and redemption. And as the seconds stretched into what felt like an eternity, the room holding its collective breath, Nikki felt the warmth of Victor's hand, weak but still alive, a reminder that even amidst the most shocking betrayals, even when the foundation of power and family seemed to tremble, love, resilience, and courage could still prevail. And as Kane took a hesitant step back, letting the weight of his confessions sink fully into the room, he realized that the events of this day would be recounted, analyzed, and felt in every corner of Genoa City for months, years, maybe even decades, because few things had the power to shake Victor Newman as profoundly as the truth that Kane had unveiled. And in that moment, with Victor's pulse gradually returning, Nikki's arms steadying him, and the shocked gazes of friends, family, and enemies alike fixed upon them, the air seemed to vibrate with a mixture of relief, dread, and anticipation, the kind of energy that only the young and the restless could deliver, a reminder that no matter how much power, wealth, or cunning one possessed, some truths were simply too deadly to ignore, and when they surfaced, even the strongest could falter, even the mightiest could collapse, and the ripples of one revelation could change everything, forever. As Victor's body went limp against NIKKI'S arms, his usual tough exterior started to break down. The room did not get tense. It got more tense. It was like when there is an earthquake and the shockwaves spread everywhere. The tension touched every part of the mansion, got inside the bones of everyone who was there. This was not just because someone had done something to Victor. It was because what Kane had said was an attack on the life Victor had built over many years. In the seconds after Victor fell, NIKKI'S mind was racing very fast. He was thinking about what could happen and what the results could be. He was thinking about the Newman Company, how it could be in big trouble. If what Kane said was true and NIKKI'S had no reason to think it was not, then the results would be very bad. It would not just be bad for Victor. For everyone who was connected to the Newman name. This included everyone who had gotten something from Victor, everyone who was afraid of him, and everyone who loved him. NIKKI'S heart was beating fast in his chest. He felt the need to protect the people he cared about. He was scared. He knew that Nikki could only hold Victor for long before they had to face the truth. The truth was that one man's secrets could put them all in danger. The Newman Company was in trouble, and NIKKI'S was worried about what could happen to everyone. Abby was standing at the edge of the room. She felt really upset and angry when she looked at Kane. His face showed that he was sorry. Also that he had made up his mind. Abby felt like hitting him. She did not. She was digging her nails into her hands to stop herself. Abby was angry with Kane. She was also scared. What Kane had told her was not just bad for Victor, it was bad for the family. This meant that people who did not like them could use this information to hurt them. Abby thought about all the people who could use this against them. She thought about Jack Abbott and Phyllis Summers. She even thought about Adam. There were a lot of people in Genoa City who might want to hurt the Newman family. In Genoa City, secrets were very powerful. People used secrets to get what they wanted. Sometimes secrets could hurt people badly. Victoria, the daughter who always seemed calm and smart, felt something she did not feel very often. She felt weak. She saw her father, Victor Newman, a man who always got what he wanted. He was shaking. He needed help. This was a surprise to Victoria. She was trying to understand what was happening. At the time, she was scared for her father. Victoria is a strong woman. She knew that in a bad situation, there could be a way to gain control. She wanted to protect her family's name. Victoria knew that in her family, people did not always do the thing. They did what they had to do to win. This meant bending the rules and sometimes hurting people. Victoria was willing to do what it took to help her family, even if it was hard. She would make the choices because that is what people in her family did. The Newman family was about power. Victoria would do what she had to do to keep that power no matter what. Sharon was the one person who always knew how to deal with the relationships between the Newmans and the Abbotts. She felt like crying when she thought about Victor and how his life was in danger. She was also thinking about Nikki, who was being very strong during this tough time. Nikki was like a rock for everyone. Sharon knew that being strong all the time can be very hard. Sharon understood that taking care of someone's problems, especially someone like Victor Newman, can be a huge burden. It can be so heavy that it can hurt the strongest people. Sharon wanted to help Nikki, so she went closer to her. She wanted to be for Nikki and help her in any way she could. Then Sharon thought about what Kane had told them. It was not surprising news, it was also a big problem for everyone in the room. The truth that Kane told them made everyone question who they really were. The Newmans and the Abbotts had been playing games, trying to survive for a long time. Now they had to think about what was really important to them. They had to decide if they were going to be honest with themselves and with each other. Sharon knew that this was not going to be easy for any of them. The Newmans and the Abbotts, including Victor and Nikki, were going to have to face the truth about themselves, whether they liked it or not. Kane was really struggling to deal with what he had done. He felt guilty. It was hard for him to breathe. He looked at Nikki. She was being very careful with Victor. Nicholas was standing up straight, and Victoria was ready for anything. Abby was trying not to panic. You could tell she was really scared. Then there was Sharon, who was being very calm and quiet. She was staying back, just watching everything. Kane knew that what he had just done was going to change a lot of things. It was like a turning point for everyone in Genoa City. He had no idea what was going to happen. Things could get really bad. Maybe something good would come out of it. You just never know in Genoa City. Usually you have to figure things out for yourself and hope that you get lucky. Kane thought about the people around him, how they would be affected by his actions. He saw Nikki taking care of Victor and Nicholas being strong. Victoria was ready to face whatever came next. Abby was trying to stay calm. Sharon was just waiting to see what would happen. Kane realized that his confession was a deal, and it would change the lives of the people he cared about. He just had to wait and see what would happen next. Victor's pulse was beating, it was faint. You could feel it. It was like a rhythm that went against all the crazy thoughts and feelings that were flying around the room. NIKKI'S voice was soft and serious. It was like a rope that tied two worlds together. One world was big and scary, it was about power and lies. The other world was small and personal, it was about people being hurt and loving each other. Victor's pulse and NIKKI'S voice reminded them that love is strong, it does not give up even when people do things to each other, and even when they are dying. Every time Victor's heart beat, it showed that people can keep going no matter what. It showed that even the worst truths cannot stop people from caring about each other, whether they are related, friends, or have been through a lot. Victor's pulse was a reminder of this. NIKKI'S voice was a reminder too, because they both knew that they had been through a lot together, and that was what kept them strong. The living room was usually a place that showed off how wealthy and in control the people were. Now it looked like a stage for a drama. The shiny chandeliers and polished floors did not look fancy anymore. They just made the room feel tense. The shadows on the walls looked long. It was like they were trying to show how big of a deal this revelation was. All the expensive things in the room seemed out of place now. They did not fit with what was happening with the people. As the minutes went by slowly, the room seemed to be waiting for something to happen. It was like the living room was full of questions that nobody was asking out loud. How long could Victor handle this shock? The living room seemed to be holding its breath, waiting to see what would happen next to Victor. NIKKI'S love is really strong. Can it really protect him from what will happen when Kane tells the truth? What will happen to the Newman family now? They have always been thought of as a family that can do whatever they want. Now, it seems like they can be hurt easily. The Newman family legacy is at risk. NIKKI'S love and the Newman legacy are in trouble. Kane looked at himself in the surfaces of the room. He did not feel any better. He felt bad about what he had done. He had told the truth. It was a big deal. This was going to affect a lot of people. It was like a row of dominoes falling down. One thing would, then another and another. It would touch people he knew, people he did not know. Some of these people might get hurt. They did not even know they were part of the secret. Kane had just figured out the secret. Now, he felt scared. He was the one who had told the truth. In Genoa City, people who tell secrets can get in trouble. When you say something, you cannot take it back. The truth hurts people. It can change everything. It is like a knife that cuts through everything. It leaves a lot of damage behind. Cain was the messenger of this truth. Now he felt very vulnerable. He was afraid of what might happen to him. Nikki pressed closer to Victor. She felt his chest moving up and down. It was not emotion. The closeness of the moment was very different from the storm that was happening around them. People were shocked and angry and scared. They were also thinking about what to do. Nikki being there made Victor feel better. She reminded him that love and loyalty are important. These things can help people feel safe even when everything is crazy. Nikki and Victor's love could help him deal with his problems. It could stop everything from falling. Not Victor's life, but also the whole empire that he had built. This empire was based on people working together and trusting each other. It was a thing. Nicholas' fingers were tapping a beat against his leg that nobody could hear. This was what he did when he was thinking hard. He was trying to figure out what to do. There were a lot of things that could happen. Each one was more complicated and more dangerous than the last. Nicholas knew that he had to make sure Victor was okay now. He also knew that he could not ignore what Cain had just told them. This was going to change everything. The balance of power was going to be different. Once that changed, it could never go back to the way it was before. The relationships between people, the rivalries, and the reputations of the people in the Newman Abbott world were all going to be different. One big truth had come out. It was going to change everything. This truth was deadly. It had finally been revealed. Nicholas was thinking about all of this, trying to make sense of it. The Newman Abbott landscape was never going to be the same because of what Cain had said. Abby usually had a strong sense of protection around her feelings, just like her father did. Now she felt like there were cracks in that protection. These cracks let fear and panic come in. She felt very upset because she knew that what Cain said was not something that affected him. It was going to affect a lot of people. It was like an earthquake that would cause a lot of problems. It would ruin plans and relationships. It could even hurt people. Abby knew that secrets in Genoa City could spread quickly and cause a lot of damage. She was a loyal person. She would do what she had to do to protect the people she cared about. She also knew that some things could not be kept secret once they were out. She had to deal with the fact that things would never be the same again. Abby had to navigate the problems that would come from what Cain said. She had to figure out how to protect her ones. Victoria knew she had to be in control and pay attention to what was going on. She saw that the situation was a mess, and that gave her a chance to do something. Cain had said something that changed everything. Now Victoria could try to make things go her way. She was thinking about what to do, and she was scared for her family. She was worried about her father and Nikki. Her family was like a thread that could break at any time. Then she remembered the way her father Victor used to handle tough situations. He was very smart, could always find a way out. Victoria had learned from him. She knew that sometimes you have to use the bad situation to your advantage. You have to make it work for you, like shaping clay into something. You can use it to protect yourself or to fight back, depending on what you need to do at that moment. Victoria was thinking that she could use this situation to help her family, to help her father, and to help Nikki, and that thought gave her the strength to keep going. Sharon is a caring person. She sees how people around her are feeling. She knows that what Cain said has really upset Victor. It is not just Victor who is upset. Everyone in the room is feeling something. Even the people who seem strong and smart are feeling things like fear and love. They are human. Sharon wants to be someone that people can talk to and trust. She wants to help people work through their problems. She knows that things are going to get tough in the few hours and days. She is going to need to be wise and brave. What Cain said is going to affect a lot of people in Genoa City. It is going to be like a storm that changes everything. It will affect people's relationships and businesses, lives in ways that we cannot predict. Sharon wants to be a presence for the people around her. She wants to help them get through this time. The Newman family is going to be affected by this. It is not just them. Lots of people in Genoa City are going to feel the effects of what Cain said. Cain was stuck with the truth about what he had done. He knew he did what he thought was right. He wanted to see justice happen. But he also knew that what he did could cause a lot of problems. It could hurt people, cause damage that cannot be fixed. When things get tough, it is not easy to know what is right and wrong. Being brave can be very hard. It can cost a lot. Kane was feeling this weight on him all the time, every time his heart beat, every time he looked around nervously, every time someone whispered something after what he had said. He knew that things were going to get even tougher, that if he wanted to make things right, he would have to do more than just talk about it. Kane would have to do something, he would have to give up some things, and he might even have to face the consequences of what he had done, and that was a really scary thought for Kane. Victor was still in NIKKI'S arms.